Hi everybody, welcome back to PUBG and another one of my strategies and tactics videos. So these video tutorials are aimed at mainly beginners for PUBG. So if you come into the game and you're thinking, wow, how do I win? What different strategies, what different tactics can I use to get me a chicken dinner? This is what this is all about, where I share the strategies and tactics that I use. So you've got to kind of understand where I'm coming from in the fact that because I'm an older gamer, I don't have the Twitch responses needed for going in, really hot and trying to kill half the lobby and then getting the dinner. That way, my strategies and tactics mainly revolve around staying safe for as long as possible. And this is a solo win on Sanhok where exactly that happens. And I call it the magic circle because the final circle comes to me because of the route I've taken into the final circles. It comes to me, and basically the circle gives me the chicken dinner. And to win chicken dinners, the most important thing I think you need to learn is the fact that PUBG is a numbers game. It's a game of probability. And the fact that if you can get yourself to the final circle or the final circles on a regular basis, so whichever method you use gets you to those final, that top 10 position in solos, or maybe the top 5 position in duos and squads. If you can get there consistently, eventually you will have a lucky circle where it comes to you and you'll just be presented with a chicken dinner on a plate. So anyway, let's get started. Let's jump to the initial flight plan and drop. So here we go. Right, so as you can see, it's west to northeast flight plan. Now remember, Sanhok is quite a small map, so you can actually fly a long way. My preference in terms of drops is always to try and look at somewhere in the second half of the flight path and then pick somewhere significantly far away from the flight path so that I know other people probably won't be dropping with me. But Sanhok is very, very small, so even with the flight path here, people can easily get to the edge of the map. So in that case, you also normally want to be avoiding name places. People love boot camp. They love the Camp Bravo, Camp Charlie, Camp Alpha. They love all this sort of place. They attract players like flies. So I've gone for this area. Now, this is also an interesting area because it's fairly central. So you could get lucky with the circle pop. So if the circle was to pop around the middle of the island there, I would already be on the quiet side. As it is, as we're coming in, someone jumps with me, and I have to I decide to go to Lakawi instead. So Lakawi is a really cool place, actually. I really like Lakawi because you've got these warehouses that are full of loot, and then you've got these walkways that you can run along and get a lot of loot. And at this point, I'm just listening out, making sure that no other players have dropped with me. And because we're on the edge of the map, especially in solos, the chances of someone pushing to me are pretty low. People aren't going to be pushing to me, so I can loot up in safety. One thing you've got to be very aware of, though, on the smaller map, especially Sanhok, is you don't have that much time, and it's still possible to get trapped in the blue. And in fact, this is what happens in this particular game. I'm looking to get level 2 everything, level 2 helmet, level 2 vest, and then I want a semi-automatic AR. I've got the QB. What have I got? I've got the QB rifle, haven't I, on my shoulder at the moment. Is that the QB-A? Is it called that? And I've got a Vector, but I tend to lean towards something like the 7.6 barrel or the Scar, if we can, and then something like an SLR or a SKS, is my distance weapon. I just feel that 7.6 weapons do knock people down faster. However, they do have more recoil than the 5.56 weapons like the M14. But the Scar is one that isn't. But I don't think the Scar doesn't spawn on this map. But there is the QBZ. That's it. Yeah. So we've got the QBU and the QBZ. Now the QBZ, the bullpup type assault rifle, is a very good assault rifle. I put that definitely on par with the barrel. It knocks people down very, very fast. And as my other weapon, I've gone with the VSS. Now the VSS is a specialist marksman rifle, sniper rifle, in the fact that it uses the 9mm rounds, but it changes them to be subsonic rounds when it fires them, and it has an integral silencer, and it has an integral scope. I think it's something like a 3.5 times scope on it. And it is the only gun in the game that if someone's more than sort of 100 meters away, maybe even 75 meters away, if you start shooting at them, they will not hear the gunfire, or it will be incredibly muffled, and you cannot tell where the bullets are coming from. With all of the other weapons, like the SKS, the Mini 14, the Kar 98, all the bolt action rifles, and the semi-automatics, and the assault rifles as well, even when they have a suppressor on them, when someone starts firing, although it's quieter and the sound is muffled, you get a good idea where people are coming from. With the VSS, you don't have a clue. And honestly, you're like, oh my god. And the big advantage for that is that people can't duck around cover because, or they'll try to, but they'll probably duck on the wrong side of cover because they just won't have a clue where the bullets are coming from. The disadvantage with the VSS is that it doesn't do much damage, and the bullets really loop in, and it has a very small initial magazine size. Right, okay, let's just go back and we'll just capture that so we can look at this circle as well. So there we go. So let's just stop there. So the VSS is kind of a specialist weapon. It's almost like a submachine gun. You can use it up close as well. You can put a canted sight on it if you want, or you could go to soft aiming on the shoulder, and it's very effective there. As soon as you put the extended mag on, you really need those 20 bullets or those 22 bullets in to make it effective. And rather oddly as well, when you're using it as a sniper, you don't single shot. You wait until someone's standing still, and then you fire off 10 bullets or a whole magazine at them, and then that will take them down. Very difficult to hit people when they're moving with the VSS, but as a ninja silent kill weapon, it can be incredibly effective, especially in things like squads or duos when you're left by yourself, because you might be trying to engage like 2, 3, 4 enemy players. And normally, if you're using a normal suppressed weapon, as soon as you fire the first shot, they know roughly where you are. They'll turn around and they'll start shooting at you. With the VSS, they don't. So consider the VSS as a weapon. So here we go. So as we can see, the circle's pops. I'm all the way over in Lakawi. The blue has started to come in. So now I've got a long run in, or I've got to find a vehicle. So we leave Lakawi on foot, and gradually the blue starts to catch up. There you go. We've got the QBZ, we've got the VSS, we've got level 3 bag, level 1 vest, I think, and level 1 helmet. Might have a level 2 vest, looking at it that way. And the oh, here we go. So the blue overtook us, and then we had to we finally caught up with the blue. As you can see, I need to do some healing. If we look down here, we can see I've got I mean, I'm not in a dangerous situation, but I would be in a dangerous situation if I got into a gunfight now. On plenty of the maps where they have bushes, you would be surprised at how effective bushes are at hiding you. When you're in third person view like this, and you look at it, you might think, well, it must be pretty obvious that I'm sitting in this bush. I have been in many matches, especially in squads where you're down to you're the last person and you don't want to engage a full enemy squad. Just crouching in a bush and they'll run straight past you. On Tego, I had one where it was even going into the final circles. I got into a 1v2 situation where the last 5 people were all fighting around me, and I was just sitting in the bush thinking, they're going to see me in a minute, and they didn't. So the bush can be very, very effective. Just try not to move when you're in it. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just using my bandages to heal up, and then we'll take some an energy drink and a painkiller to get to full boost, so we get the auto healing that will take us from 3/4 health to full health, and then we start to run again. Unfortunately, as you can see, the blue has caught up with us. Now at this point, I've got to think about what I want to do. And what I decided to do is something I refer to as a hard shift. So we know the flight path was kind of this diagonal, wasn't it, from the sort of the west to the northeast. So the hot part of the map will kind of be on this diagonal here. I drop down here at Lakawi. So if I want to get to the quiet side of the circle, we're kind of looking at this area here, or this area here, or somewhere along the coast. Now the final circle actually pops at Tambang eventually, just round this area here. In order to do this, if I was on foot, I could, I could try and make it all the way. That'd be very difficult. Or I could just sort of stay on this side of the circle here. But there's going to be lots of people here because you're going to have everybody who dropped at boot camp, everybody who's on this side of the map. They'll all be funneling into these choke points. So I make the decision, I want to be over this side of the map. And sometimes as you're driving in or riding in, and then the circle then pops to the next place, you can then choose where you go in there. But that's my decision. The decision now is to try and do a hard shift to the quiet side of the circle. Now this can be very dangerous because when you're in a vehicle, you're making lots of noise. And quite often you'll pull up, there'll be someone sitting there behind a rock and they'll just shoot you straight away. But it's a gamble worth taking. So here you go. I'm coming in, and luckily, I see the motorbike. As you can see, I'm on full boost, so I'm going to be auto healing. And with the bike, you're going pretty fast. It's pretty difficult to hit someone on a bike. You just got to watch you don't drive into any rocks and kill yourself. I'm giving it the old wiggle in order to hopefully avoid the danger. Be very careful with bridges, choke points. Not so much so on Sanhok. Now the rivers are much narrower and easier to traverse. So I'm looking. The next circle is going to pop. So I'm going to take a cheeky. Right, there we go. So I took a quick cheeky look. It's easy for me to say. Quick cheeky look at the circle, and again we can see here. I'm thinking where I'm going to go. Well, there's ruins there, so I don't want to be around here. I want to get to the edge, and what I'm doing is I'm riding along and I'm listening for the gunfire. I know I'm going to end up somewhere on the coast, but I'm trying to gauge where there's lots of gunfire, and kind of that's where I don't want to be. So we're going around ruins now. Again, we're going at quite a lick, so the chances of anybody hitting us, got to keep an eye on the ground for people who put down those traps across, people lobbing grenades in. So at this point I'm thinking, right, we're going to aim now. Oh, there's an upside down car. We're going to be aiming to get to the coast. So you saw I had a quick look at the map there. Now south of Tambang, there's like this little divot in the island, like almost like a crevasse, a little valley that I quite like it there. It tends to get forgotten quite a lot, and as you'll see, that's where we kind of go past in a second on the bike. So we go through this little. Now as we're coming through here as well, I'm looking at the doors. Are the doors opened or closed? If they're open, it means people have definitely been there. If they're closed, it means people might not have been there. You've still got to be careful because people climb through windows. And here's this little kind of valley, this little divot in the map where you've got this nice little village. And I decided I want to be on the high ground. So I'm quite lucky with hit the tree, do a bit of a bunny hop, jump off, and as soon as you've exited a vehicle in this manner, where I'm not jumping inside a house or something like that, you want to be getting away from where you stopped, because if there's anybody around who's been listening to that, they'll be able to triangulate and go, okay, they're over there, and they'll start running towards there, or looking towards there, or aiming towards there. So you want to move away from that situation, even if if it's further away from this, from the edge of the circle or something like that. You want to move away. Also, it enables you to scope out your surroundings. Also, a moving target is much more difficult to hit. So I'm just having a quick look down into the village, just check there's nobody there, and then we're just pushing out. We've got a nice bit of high ground here, we've got some nice bit of cover, we've got some nice bit of bushes, and we can look down to Nakam and look back towards the centre of the circle. Excuse me. Any enemies, they're going to be in Narcam, are going to be coming up the hill towards me, so I'm going to be able to see them. I'm going to be able to see people coming in around the coast and this sort of stuff. So this is a good place to kind of stay. Let's move forward. Okay, so now you'll see the circle then pops further in towards Tambang. See, it's sort of behind me, sort of to the northwest. Hopefully I'll have a look at the big map. So there we go. So there you can see the circle is behind me. So any players around here are going to be coming past my position. Also, I know at this point that the circle probably isn't going to be on me. So it could be a good idea to think about moving next, moving slightly into the circle. You could argue that a rule of thumb when you're thinking about how far you should be moving into the circle is probably moving a quarter of the way into the circle. Because if you move a quarter of the way into the circle, you've always got a chance that when it pops again, you'll still be in the circle, and you'll also be in a situation where you won't have to back off. You could say, well, there's no point running to the centre of the circle because the circle could then pop behind me. Just remember, the circle will always pop, so the centre of it is over land. It must always do that. And as it is, I decide to run down and check out the little huts behind me. Here we go. So I've dropped down to those little huts, and now we're just waiting for the next circle to pop. There it goes. So as you can see, it's popped again to my northwest. So I know I'm going to have to move towards Tambang. There it is. So there we go. So there's the circle there. Now this is a tricky area. Again, as you play more PUBG, you get to know it. But there's steep cliffs here. And this is always a problem, especially on Sanhok and Miramar. You get these situations where sometimes you've just got to do a throw of the dice and be on one side of the cliffs or the other, be on the top or the bottom. And you may well be trapped in a situation where the circle moves and you've got nowhere to go, because the circle does an awful lot of damage at this point, and you might not be able to go out into the blue and come back again to get to the top of the hill. If you've got a one of the special signal blocker backpacks, the level 2 ones that allow you to survive in the blue for a while, that might be good. But sometimes that just happens. That's just a part of playing PUBG. So now I'm thinking, well, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go? Now I know this is high ground. We've discussed before, people are attracted to buildings. So I know the majority of players, they're going to be here. They're going to be in this village here fighting with each other. People just love looting right up until the last minute. People just cannot resist looting, and they cannot resist getting inside buildings. So I make the decision to stick along the beach, along the coast, and kind of head up around this way to kind of see what happens. So as you'll see in a sec, excuse me, I've got a bit of a runny nose. Just move it forward a little bit. Here we go. So again, I'm very wary that there could be people up above on this high ground. I can hear the gunfire, so you're listening out. You're thinking, where will everybody be? Actually, I'm still looting at this point, aren't I? I think that's it. I was looking for a level 2 helmet. Getting fully boosted. Now that's very important. So as you're starting to come into the last few circles, as they're getting smaller, if you've got enough painkillers and adrenaline syringes and energy drinks to keep taking them to keep yourself at full boost, do so, because being at full boost, that gives you can run faster, but it gives you automatic healing over time. So if you take a gunshot and you're in a gunfight, you will still be healing without having to apply bandages or a first aid kit, and that can be the difference between winning or losing gunfights when it's very, very close. So we kind of do that, and there we go. So now I'm running along, really hugging the coast, seeing if anybody's coming behind me, because there's always a chance someone's coming out late. Keeping an eye on the high ground, and just moving generally as quick as I can. So we're going into the circle now. So at this point I could stop on the edge of the circle, but this is not a good place to be, is it? Someone could just roll a grenade down the hill on top of me. I know that when the next circle pops, it's probably not going to be around me. So again, I go with the decision to go to the bottom of the cliffs, and see what happens, with the idea that everybody's going to be in Tambang. They're all going to be shooting each other, and then I can kind of pop up. So this is kind of the decision point now. Do I go up there or do I go down there? And as you can see, I take the low road rather than the high road to avoid people, and then we just kind of wait here for a little bit. Now, as we're coming round these rocks, so the circle's closed again. Now this is interesting now, because I'm looking at this circle and you can see it's moved away from Tambang. We're still on the side of this cliff, but there's a chance it could go to this open area here. And as I'm working my way around, you'll see that I spot, dunk, there's another player there. Again, another golden rule or rule of thumb: if you spot someone, generally speaking, they will have spotted you too. So I see this guy and I go, ooh, right, quick, let's get behind cover, and I can use the third person perspective just to keep an eye on him. And what becomes apparent is this guy is hard scoping me. He moves into that position there, so I'm pretty sure this guy is looking directly at this edge here. Excuse me while I take a drink. And if I'm just pop out and try and challenge him, he's going to kill me. At this point, I've got there's no reason to challenge him. I'm in the circle. I'm safe. There's high cliffs above me. Someone could run behind me, I guess, but I'll probably hear them coming. I'm better off just waiting here. The big danger for me now is the circle popping up above me. However, if you look at the circle, the chances of that happening, it would really have to have its centre on the cliff. So whether that can happen or not. So what I'm thinking here is, right, I need to wait until this guy gets distracted by something, by either someone attacking him or some noise or something like that. So literally, I'm just kind of waiting now. I've got my VSS out, and the plan would always be to pre-aim, lean out, and then dump an entire magazine of bullets into him. Let's move forward a little bit, so I can keep an eye on him there. Again, patience is the key here. So yes, he's hard scoping me, just listening out. Is anybody dropping below me? Again, you can tell he's hard scoping me because he's not moving. He's looking at this edge here. So I'm not gonna bite. I'm just gonna wait, bide my time. The blue's coming in. The blue's gonna pop again. Right. Okay. So then there's a load of gunfire up above me. So I know he would have probably heard that, and I'm waiting for him to move. And the circle has popped again, and it has come to me. So I'm very lucky here. Still, it could be up above on the cliffs. Let's watch that player. More gunfire. Down to 4 people left. Right, see him move. Right, he's moved there, so I know he's going to be looking up this direction. So then I decide, right, let's get the VSS ready, pre-aim. Basically a full magazine straight into him. And the beauty with the VSS is that the other player, because there's only 2 of us left alive now, probably won't have a clue where I am. So now we're into this situation where it's 1v1. I'm obviously at the bottom of the cliffs and he's at the top. So where will the blue go? Now, one thing that can happen in this situation is you can end up with a situation where the final circle disappears, and we do get into that situation where the final circle is going to disappear. And that pushes the players together. It's not like in Warzone where the final circle just keeps moving and moving and moving. The circle contracts and disappears, and you both die to the blue, and it's whoever's got the most health. If that is going to happen, what you need to do is make sure you're at full health to start off with. You need to go to full boost, so you need to make sure you've taken a painkiller and an energy drink, and you need to be ready to apply a first aid kit if you're sure that the other person isn't going to suddenly pop out and start shooting at you. This tends to be on buildings where, say, you have a finish in a building, and there's no way of getting to each other. You know, it's very, very rare to happen. It's one of the few occasions where you can actually have a no-kill chicken dinner. I think I've got one before where I was trapped at the top of a building, a guy was trapped below me, we couldn't get to each other, and I out-medded him. Now, we've just had the final circle pop, and this is the magic circle. It has come to me, so the final circle is on me and I'm in the middle, which is very important, because the final circle, when it disappears and it contracts to the middle of the circle. So this is really good. So you can see I'm taking my painkillers. However, I'm very aware that the other guy at this point can still drop down and run around into the safe area, or even players, if he's wearing one of those jamming backpacks, he can run out into the blue, run back in again. So it's all about listening out. Where is that other player? You know, getting ready by going to full boost and just listening and listening and listening. Now, I'm pretty sure he's going to come to my left. As you can see, they're really steep cliffs here, so he's going to take some damage jumping down anyway. And it's just listening. At this point as well, you'll be getting the PUBG sweats. Your hands will be clammy. They'll be shaking a little bit. Your aim will be off. So now's the time to think, right, am I reloaded? Am I boosted? Am I ready to go for this final encounter? And you're just listening out. So we've got 10 seconds to go until the blue starts to contract. The other player doesn't make a move yet, so he doesn't come around that way. And here we go. 3, 2, 1. Final circle's coming in. This is it. Actually, is this the final circle? No, it's not the final circle. Sorry, there would be one after this when it disappears. So I'm holding the corner, listening out. Nothing. He's not coming around the corner. And then I hear a thud behind me. There he is. Now, at that point, you see, I get a load of bullets into him. He's gone into cover. I know he'll be almost dead. So this is when I come round and I just hip fire him. And there we go. And then we got him. He would have taken damage when he jumped off the cliff. Unfortunately, he was looking the wrong way when he got to the bottom. So, he didn't see me. But I heard him drop. And I was in that situation where I was ready to take advantage. But you see, with those final circles, they all came to me. Right, there we go. Hopefully those strategies and tactics maybe give you some ideas for when you play PUBG. Remember, it is a numbers game. The more times you can get to that top 10 situation, you will give yourself a chance where the circle will work for you. The enemies will kill each other, the circle will come to you, and you'll be presented with a very appetizing and simple to eat chicken dinner. Thank you very much, and I will see you again soon.